everybody is always wondering about how to be your own boss. And there's a few simple ways you can do this. One is, don't work for somebody else. 2, do what you love. And 3, whatever you do, and make sure it's not for the man. So those 3 things will make it a lot easier to build wealth for yourself, whether that be financial wealth or an object wealth or property wealth. And there's so many different ways you can do this, and you do not need a lot of Federal Reserve notes to do so. So for example, we bought land on auctionaz.com, 2 acres for $600, and now we have land that's paid for. We have a Winnebago that we did a work trade for, so our house is paid for. I quit my slave job over 4 years ago, so technically I'm retired. I still work, but all of the work I do has to do with liberty, freedom, and creating a more free society for the next generation. You can do markets, and you can have an online website. You could have a merchandise store. You can make bracelets. You can make drinks. You can make anything you want. But the how is even more simple than you would imagine, because it's a switch in your mind that you flip. So instead of now thinking that you need to work for somebody else to survive, you realize within yourself that you don't, that you can do it on your own. And it's your lifestyle choices that will limit how wealthy you become. And really, wealth is subjective anyway. So, alright, well, I just wanted to give you all an update and explain to you how I've been my own boss for 4 years now. Now, really, Neo is my boss, and I will never again be my own boss. So, yeah, because once you have a child, that pretty much changes everything. And which is good, because this really is all about the next generation and what we can create for them so that they have choices and that they can make those choices without being aggressed upon in any way, shape, or form. So have a wonderful day. Peace out from the Freedom Ranch.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network on theconsciousresistance.com and theseedsofliberty.com. So today we have Alma Sommer coming in from Arizona. She's the founder of Jackalope Freedom Festival.com. She also has undocumentedhuman.com and agoristmarketplace.com, as well as homestead.guru. You can find those on Facebook as well, under those names, Jackalope Freedom Festival, Undocumented Human, and Agorist Marketplace. Do you have the Homestead Guru on Facebook?
Yes.
You do too? Okay, so that one too. So we're going to talk about a little bit about her background to voluntarism, how she came to that, and also about her son Neo, cool name by the way, really love it, and how he is undocumented, right? No social security number, no birth certificate, which is really awesome. I tried to have that with my kids, and it was tough, man. But my wife, she backed out last minute. We didn't vaccinate, and we did the water birth and everything. But and even the fact that we did it at home, the second one was at home. But yeah, we. I guess even if you do it at home, I guess you have to mail in the own thing about the Social Security. I don't know, but yeah. So I'm really delighted to talk to you about that. So please talk to us about that and what that entails, and if you're getting pursued by people. Hope not.
No, I'm not being pursued unless I speak somewhere and then someone comes up and talks to me about how their situation is similar. Then they pursue me, but no state is pursuing me.
Awesome.
So anyway, we plan on having Neo at home, and I think my next child I won't even have a licensed midwife. It's more like it's your first kid, so you want to make sure you're safe.
Yeah.
I think it's fear that makes you choose having a midwife at all, even. And there's other organizations that exist that have they're not midwives anymore, so they're whatever they call themselves, ex-midwives or just something else now. And you can go through them and they will help you have a child. So I don't think it's completely necessary to have a licensed midwife. In fact, I feel like they've been fear-mongered by the state and all their rules going through the licensing process that they're so hands-off. And I don't want that type of experience bringing my child into the world. So I want more women around too, probably. So, because it is a long experience.
Yeah, yeah. The woman that we used for both my kids, 2000, first one 2010, the second one 2012. She's I think she's in her 60s, and she had birthed at that time a little over 3,000 babies over 30 years, including her own 2 grandchildren. She helped to birth, which is really awesome. So a lot of experience with the woman, and she did primarily water birth, which is really awesome. We did first one was water birth at the hospital, and the second one was water birth at home, and they're both awesome experiences. Even though it was at the hospital, it was still in a birthing room, so it was separate, not with the stalls and and everything. But yeah, she was really great, and we definitely recommend her. But yeah, midwives are awesome, and I do know one midwife. I don't know if you know Melissa Rakovich from Facebook. I'm sure you've seen her around.
Yeah.
Wait,
Rachel? No, not Rachel.
No, Melissa Rakovich. Her last name Rajakovich.
I'm thinking of someone else. Okay.
Yes. So she I'm gonna probably start another podcast with her on peaceful parenting, but she went through the training of being a midwife, and then she stopped primarily because of what you said, all the regulations, the rules, and all the stuff they have to go through. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And and I think that she wants to just learn the craft, maybe apprentice under somebody, and then practice like that. So yeah,
I had a really nice midwife at the hospital when I chose that hospital because they have midwives. So once I got there, I was assigned a new midwife, and my midwife at that point was out of the picture completely. So
okay,
yeah.
It's interesting how you say there a lot of them are afraid to be hands-on because of I guess legal repercussions that may ensue as a result of what happens. But yeah, it's so ridiculous. It's yeah, like you said, I mean, if the woman feels relaxed, and you feel relaxed with the person, you know the person, I don't know, you just the state just messes up everything. Let's put it that way.
So when we were there, and I hate hospitals, and if anyone has a baby in a hospital or they have to or whatever, you go to the hospital. I had to. Neo was stuck inside me. I had to have a cesarean. So it was I got there and they were like, okay, we went through the options and I opted for the epidural, which I get why women do that now. You don't feel anything, and there's no other drug that makes that pain go away. It's only the epidural that makes the pain go away. And even after having that, and like laying me on my side. He still didn't want to come out. And then they noticed that his heart rate was acting funny, and I guess they had blood tested us, and then we were both septic. And I think that was because we were in the tub, and the tub wasn't like a filter, it didn't have like a filtration system. So I definitely want like things just more clean the next time around too. So I just want to eliminate as much like bacteria as possible. So it's just, I think it's important, and also to be able to like get out of the tub and go back in the tub and just things like that too. I think maybe a birthing center might be something I'll choose. But then again, I just don't know. I don't know what that's going to be like either. So anyway, Neo, he at one point became like, they come into the room and they check on his heart rate, and this woman kept checking on his heart rate for like a really long time. And I'm like, what is wrong with him? And what I was going to say is that I think it's important to not put your baby in that bassinet thing. Just to, like, keep him or her with you all of the time. It doesn't matter. You're not going to roll over on them. You've just had it's just the baby's come out of you some way. You're not feeling like laying on your stomach or, anything crazy like that. So they took Neo to the nursery. Okay, let me take a step back. When I was on the epidural, I made a comment in the room about being forced to fill out paperwork, and somebody told on me at that point. They went and told the social workers there, somebody from the state, because the next day when they took Neo to the nursery because of his weird heartbeat, to put him on an EKG. They put the things all over him just to monitor his heart. And they took him in there, and I was getting some rest. And one of the nurses told Brian that a social worker planned to come and talk to us because of the comment I had made while in like emergency or whatever. And so at that moment, I like had prepared some questions for the social worker, so I could speak to her articulately, and she, didn't try and attack me in any way. And I tried to relate with her right away. So, but while in nursery, they told Brian, oh, well, I think he's just dehydrated. And so they convinced him to give him Monsanto GMO formula because he's dehydrated. And I had told Brian, come and get me if he needs a nurse, whatever, and I know you're like a brand new mom and you're not producing like a lot of milk, but it's still important that they get whatever they can from you rather than some other source.
Right.
And that's another thing is like they don't have other women's breast milk in there. Like so many women would donate their breast milk to newborn babies whose mothers, weren't giving their babies the hydration that they needed. And I got really upset about it that he had done that without coming to talk to me. And he felt really bad after he was like doing the research on whatever they gave him, and he wishes he could go back. But anyway, so the nurse who had convinced him, she also felt really bad because I was upset about this decision that they had made without me. And one of my friends came to visit, and she was also nursing, and this nurse let my friend pump milk for me, and she hooked us up, and she gave us some of our labels and containers so that I could put my name on these containers and they store them in the fridge for you there. And the night nurse that night didn't say anything, which I'm sure she must have noticed, because you can tell the color's different, the amount is different. Like there's no way I was producing that. But the fact that the nurse made this decision right by like allowing this to happen was the coolest thing she could have ever done. And I really appreciated that. So Neo was not dehydrated. He ended up, being fine. And after they let him come back to me, I didn't let him leave me. I slept.
Yeah. It's such a strange thing. They take the child away. It's like those first 15 minutes they say are the most important. The bonding experience. Like I remember.
This was later. This was like a day later though. I did get to hold him right away after he came out of me.
After a day they took. Okay.
Yeah, this was later when they came to check on him, like in our room.
Oh, okay.
But no, I did get to hold him right away. But after having a cesarean, you're like shaky, and I was drugged up.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't even barely hold him. You're like open. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember listening to or reading a story about like when if cats that have a litter of kittens, and if the kittens are taken away, like within the first 15 minutes, after that they give the kittens back, and the mother cat does not acknowledge the kitten at all. That like doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the kitten, doesn't nurse anything, and the kittens often die as a result. So it's so amazing, it's so important and amazing how important those first few moments are.
I'm glad we've evolved past being a cat.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I learned, having these two kids, and witnessing my wife going through the pregnancy and the birth, and I'm like, I talk to a lot of women. Whenever I meet them about when they're pregnant, I'm like, so you're going to do water birth? I just say it outright. They're like, no, why? What's that?
That's probably why the state tries to get the guys at 18, because the chances of them having witnessed their significant other going through birth is very low, unless you have a teenage pregnancy, which,
right.
Hey, all for those. Go for those.
Yeah.
Less people will want to go to war after seeing a child come out of another human. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's
if men start having babies themselves, that'd be awesome.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like with me, everywhere I go as a homeschooling father, I'm always the only father there. I'm surrounded by mothers and their kids, and I like it. I'm comfortable. And you're right. I think the more people have kids, the less likely they're going to want to go off and die for politicians and bankers, and it's like, why? But then again,
we need to convince them to breed out statism before they graduate high school.
Yeah, that's actually the way I look at voluntarists and anarchists and people who practice peaceful parenting, is that there's one way to try to defeat statism is just talk to people who are already supportive of government and a belief in authority. But then another way is to just raise peaceful, compassionate, gentle, kind human beings, and in that way, like you said, breeding out the evil folks or the misguided folks.
So my sign outside the high school should say, "Quit high school, choose peace."
Yeah, definitely. So give me a little background about your introduction to voluntarism and anarchy.
Okay. Well, I started in, I guess, 2007 with the Ron Paul movement. And in Phoenix, there's a guy named Ernest Hancock who has a show called Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. And his website's freedomphoenix.com. He had a workshop in Phoenix where a lot of activists hung out and met each other. And so once I found out about that, I was pretty much in the loop. There's still a lot of activists I meet out here that were in the valley at the same time, that woke up at the same time, went through the same process, started their own little agorist businesses or organizations or non-governmental organizations, and now I'm still just meeting them. So it's a very large network of liberty people in Arizona.
Cool. Yeah, then and when did you start the Jackalope Freedom Festival?
So I went to PorcFest in 2011, and I kept hearing all about Kat Bleich's speech the year before about how she's an anarchist, and I kept, hearing that maybe next year PorcFest was going to become a 501(c)(3), and I was learning about copyleft and all that stuff. Like in 2011, I was really just like inundated with a lot of liberty stuff there, and I came up with the slogan, "Silly status taxes are for slaves." And I made a big poster board, and my friend Ashley like went around giving out free hugs all that year wearing this poster board. Well, that was like the first motto for Jackalope, but Jackalope wasn't even Jackalope at the time. I just knew that Arizona needed to have a festival like Pork Fest, but without any group of people in charge. And we needed to find a place where we could have it free. People could camp for free and vend and attend, and there's no fees of any kind or registration, just because all of that stuff, I don't know what the word is. It just like, it slows things down. It stops progression from happening. And I encourage people to come up with their own idea, call it whatever they want, advertise it however they want, and then still advertise it the same dates in the same place.
Cool.
So, I copyleft Jackalope even. It used to, the first mascot was a porcupine with a scorpion tail, so it was a scorpiupine.
Cool.
And that's what the group on Facebook is actually called. But then in the beginning, the people that were in the group started talking, and somehow Jackalope became the name. And I used to have another motto on there where statism comes to die and the free market prevail, but it was kind of harsh. And so then it changed to where spontaneous order happens naturally without any forced coercion or aggression.
Nice. See, how can you be against that, right? That's beautiful. Yeah, I love this. I love all these festivals popping up. There's the what is it, the one with Lou Fien. I forget what it's called. The one that he has up in the Midwest, right?
Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest.
Right, there's that one. Yeah, and then they got the Porcupine, and then there's Liberty Fest that I went to in Brooklyn, and the Pork Fest. Yeah, Liberty Fest I've been to twice. That's the only Liberty Festival I've been to. And I met a lot of great people there. Jeffrey Tucker, Luke Radowski, Katie Chaos, and Rob Murphy, and Tom Woods. And so it was really, really awesome to meet these people that you only read their blogs or listen to their podcasts or read their books, and finally like, oh, they're a real human being. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I know. Yep. I met Luke at the Axum conference in Utah like 8 years ago.
Nice.
That was one of our first little activist road trips I went on with my friends Drew Phillips and Nick Barnett and Jet. We all went to Utah. It was fun.
Yeah, well, what's amazing about Luke is he's like last year he was 28 years old, I think he told me, and like the guy's so young and he's done so much already, and he's just a really busy guy traveling all over the world and taking some awesome shots and doing some great stuff on.
Yeah, follow him on Snapchat. You get even more.
I don't even have Snapchat. I don't have
Luke, we are change.
I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Instagram. I'm sorry. I'm behind the times. I'm sorry.
Snapchat's cool, and so is Periscope. You would probably really dig Periscope. In fact, there's like some adults on there who do shows that are about like awareness and the younger generation having access to things like Periscope, and their parents aren't aware of it and don't know about it. And like even one of my friends said to me, oh, Snapchat's for teenagers. And I said, if that's what you think, you should go check your child's phone. No, don't go check your child's phone. Just like, whatever your relationship with your child is, your choice. But I'm sure if she realized what you could do with Snapchat, I mean, I don't know, maybe she would.
Yeah, it's funny that what parents like the technology is getting so expansive, and there's so many possibilities that parents are often so way behind the times in terms of technology, and the kids become teachers of the parents. And that's what I hope for my kids to do for me. Like I know all this stuff. We know as much as I know. I don't know a lot, but I assume my kids are going to be teaching me stuff about how to use on the internet, and that's cool. I can't wait for that day. I think that's one of the parts of peaceful parenting is being humble enough to say that my kids can teach me something, right? And it's not like a position of authority with it seems a lot of parents like to take is that you have to listen to what I say because I'm more experienced, I know more and everything. And it's so sad, that people, because then the kids get like, felt like inferiors and subjects, and that they don't know, they feel dumb and stupid and all that, and it's just so sad.
Yeah, I have some good friends that are our age, and they have teenage boys, so they had kids that's a lot younger, and it's just kind of cool to have friends my age but have grown kids, and they're like almost adults, and it's just nice to have get their experience and just their knowledge of what they've been through.
Yeah. So tell me a
Especially
little.
if they're anarchists.
Oh, they are. Oh, cool. That's even better.
Oh yeah. I don't hang out with that many statists.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, we're living with my family right now, and it's all right. I've come to peace. Come to terms with certain differences that I have. My mother's a Bernie Sanders supporter. Most of my families are Democrats, so they love Barack Obama. I've gotten into heated debates with my mother, but over time, I'm like, she's not going to change. I'm not going to change. So
what state are you in?
New York. People's
So
Republic.
you're by the ocean, yeah?
Yeah.
You could get a sailboat.
True.
You could put your family on a sailboat.
Actually, we're thinking about, because we had a mortgage in Long Island for 6 years. One of the worst decisions of our lives. We lost a massive amount of money, because we got the mortgage right before the housing bubble burst in 2008. So everything was overvalued, and then we lost all this massive amount of value, and it never recovered. And so we had to sell it at a loss, major loss, which really sucked. So yeah, learned big economics lesson, painfully through that. And yeah, so now we're either like renting or RV, like, what you guys are doing. So I think that's a possibility.
Or sailboat. You could do a work trade for a sailboat.
Or a sailboat. All right. That's interesting.
We did a work trade for our motorhome.
I'm not. I haven't been on too many boats, so I'm not like super comfortable on the water. I like the land to be a little more firm, under my feet.
Or just take some diving lessons, because if you did sail, you're gonna want to dive. If you're out on the ocean, you're gonna want to dive,
right.
free dive,
right.
scuba dive. You're definitely gonna want to swim well.
Yeah.
So if there's some, okay, so like you're gonna take some, lessons probably before you make that plunge.
Yeah, literally and figuratively. Yeah, that plunge.
I'm ready. Like, bring on the sailing. I'm ready to go. I'm scuba certified, and I love the ocean and swimming and all of it.
So you have a lot.
So does Brian.
You have a lot of experience with boating, also.
Well, yeah, we've been to the Virgin Islands twice, which is if we ever escaped this big island, we would probably head there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Plus, it's probably one of the only places far enough away from this big island we could take Neo without too much difficulty.
Cool. Yeah, we're thinking about places to move, like Asheville, and maybe New Hampshire, but it's too cold up there, so maybe Asheville. Asheville's nice. Nice bunch of peaceful parenters down there and volunteers, and so I like that a lot. I think it's important to have community. People like my sister-in-law. She was asking me, do you really like Asheville? Like, what if you don't like the mountains or the weather or something? And I'm like, I could live anywhere, right? It doesn't matter where a location is for me. For me, what makes a place attractive is the people. Networks, the community. That's what makes it attractive. Forget about the weather. Forget about everything else. Like, you can adapt. You can make a warm home, whatever. You can adapt. But if you don't have a network of people that is there for you, that will come to your aid, that's a hard life. The way I look at it, right?
Totally. Yeah, totally. As you're talking about this, I just keep thinking about Texas, because we have a very large network of Liberty friends there too, and it's always an option in our family's life that we might head to Texas. So
yeah, the thing
again.
Oh, you grew up there?
No. We went there for the Texas Bitcoin conference, but
Okay.
on the Undocumented Human Bitcoin tour. We
Uh-huh.
went to Texas with Neo. It was just like 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Before we had the RV, we traveled in our Jeep, and we pulled a trailer because we had moved out of our apartment, and we had like a third of our stuff with us. It was crazy.
Uh-huh.
And we camped, and it's so beautiful up in northern Arizona, northern New Mexico, into Texas.
Mhm.
There's so many open pieces of property you could just go and like squat and live there, or boondock, or whatever word you want to use that's like appropriate for your life. Michael Fielding just came out with a new video, Sailboat Diaries. That's
Oh,
his
yeah.
YouTube channel.
That's right.
And it's Squatting 101, and it's actually really good. So
Yeah, I first heard about him. Jeff Berwick interviewed him on Anarchast, and yeah, really awesome guy. He did the video with like, what was he, like on an island for like 100 days or something like that?
I think it was 30 days.
30 days, okay.
But he sailed around all over the Caribbean and didn't check in and didn't get permission, and he was completely left alone.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
Yeah. There's a Patreon called SV Delos. They've been sailing for like 5 or 7 years.
Uh-huh.
They've been on Patreon pretty much since the beginning, and they make, $5,500 a video. So they're doing really well. And the guy who owns the sailboat, he's actually from Flagstaff, because I've watched like all of their videos. And I wrote them the other day asking them, like, where's the most like free place you could sail around and not have to check in, because I mentioned, well, you can see I'm writing on there from Undocumented Human, our Patreon, and you can, see who it is. And he's like, that's an interesting question. Oh, I don't know who actually responded, because they have a crew of like 7 people. It could have been any one of them responding. But they were like, that's an interesting question. And then they told me, I think their answer was the Philippines. I'd have to go check, but I think that's what they told me. Sailing around there, that was like the least regulated place to sail around.
Cool.
And they've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Their videos are awesome.
So are they anarchists, voluntarists?
I don't know what they are. They definitely film without like getting permission, because they document their travels.
Ah, okay.
But they're like 6 months behind on their videos, because they'll sometimes throw a date in there or say what holiday it is or what's going on or when it was filmed even. They just like tell you. And there's a lot of other Patreons like that are 6 months behind, 3 months behind. Some people are kind of quicker with their videos, and they're only, 3 weeks behind, which my videos are probably anywhere from like 3 weeks to like 2 months behind. My footage is from like all different time periods. So
it's not chronological, is what you're saying.
Not really. It's not the best. I'm not the best, documentary editing, filmer, whatever person. But I'm doing what I enjoy, and I share the videos with a few people before I put them out there. And if they ever told me it was total crap, then I probably would do a different video. But I usually get somewhat decent responses.
Yeah.
And we have 3 Patreons.
Nice.
So. And I switched my campaign. I switched it to per video instead of per month. So now I'm making $8 per video.
See,
Actually, that's when my most recent video actually talks about the research that I did before I launched our Patreon, and how I found that Patreons who choose a per video campaign usually don't charge their patrons more than 3 times a month. So if you put out 3 awesome videos, then you can charge 3 times. If you start doing more than that, then people will probably, it's still their choice in the back end how many videos they pledged to you.
Yeah.
So, or they pledge for.
Yeah.
So they can still choose, I'm just going to pledge 1 video a month to this person.
Okay.
But I think so far, I'm still per video $8.
Cool.
Nobody's changed it since I switched the campaign, and all of my research was per video anyway. So, it's just kind of hard because sometimes Wi-Fi isn't the best, and uploading a long video, 13 minutes, can be rough.
Yeah. Yeah, I got into Patreon a couple of months ago. So far I have just one Patreon, one patron, and I think it's per month. Maybe I should change it to per video. I'll try to look into your advice. It sounds like a good advice. But yeah, I gotta get rolling on that.
So when you go and post on your Patreon, you choose if you're charging your patrons or not. So you could just charge them 3 times a month, and then everything else you do, all the rest of your content is free.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. I like that.
Because I just think that more people would be willing to pay more times a month than not. So you're giving your patrons the opportunity to pay more money to you that way. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
All right. Cool. I gotta, look into that. Definitely. So please go into a little bit about your undocumentedhuman.com and what that's about.
All right. Well, it's basically, it's not much of a website. It just has some basic information on there. And I suppose in the future, I'll probably link to things like Emancipated Human and World Citizen. And, if I had an assistant or a nanny or any kind of volunteer that just wants to learn from me, welcome. Welcome to our family. We travel.
Nice.
Yeah, I could use all the help I could get, because once you have kids, you pretty much get 50% done of what you used to as a human being. And
so true.
That's not in the book.
So true. Yeah, that's the thing, productivity goes way down, energy goes way down, sleep often goes way down. A lot of stuff goes way down. But kids are beautiful, though. Recommend people have kids. Definitely, it's a wonderful thing. Bring life.
Join the crazy train.
Bring life into the world. I was listening to one, Stefan Molyneux podcast, and he was saying how it's a strange thing that some people complain of. They say, "Well, I don't want to have kids because overpopulation. It's such an evil world, and it's a lot of cruelty and hatred. And why am I going to bring my child into a world like this?" And what's funny is what he said, that the intelligent people are the people that think about the future, right? And that they don't just think about now and the present and their current desires. They think about the future and the national debt. I guess basically liberty-minded people think about the future, long-term consequences, right? And so those are the kind of people that would say, you know what, I don't want to bring my child into this. So those are the people who would breed less, and the people who don't think as much, a little bit more dull, simple-minded, they're like rabbits, 10 kids, 15 kids, and it's crazy. If you think about it like that, it's like, man, Idiocracy is not a far off dream. So
I do think it's interesting how people say we're overpopulated and that we're starving or whatever. I mean, in America, nowhere's overpopulated but the cities.
Right. Exactly.
And there are food banks all over the place that are giving away free food. Churches and nonprofits of all kinds. Mm-hmm. In Arizona, if someone is starving, it's because they're choosing not to eat.
Good point. And
I mean, there's I hear about homeless communities popping up all over the place. They're not starving. They're being fed somehow. Mm-hmm. They're getting food from food banks, most likely.
Right. Yeah. It's and also it's overpopulation. It's a strange thing when you think about just the landmass that comprises the United States alone. It's like 95 or 95%, uninhabited regions. It's like what overpopulation? What are you talking about?
It is a lie.
It's just along the same lines as climate change and global warming and all this kind of stuff.
Let's talk about fiat currency.
Fear mongering.
The Federal Reserve, something real.
Yeah, it's fear mongering. It's just it's basically for me the foundation of statism, right? It's based on fear and just fear of the unknown, basically. Fear of your neighbor, fear of other countries, other religions, other genders, fear of the poor, fear of the rich, fear of everybody. and it's so
fear
sad.
of running out of space, and then you choose to live in the city, and like you have like all these people stacked on top of you, and you're like, oh my God, we're running out of space. Yeah, you are. You are running out of space. Leave the city.
I know. I could never live in the city. My sister-in-law lived in the city for maybe like 2 years. Oh my God, it's so claustrophobic, and I don't know. I don't know what and they're like, well, it's so awesome because you walk out and you have all this, businesses and luxury, and I guess that's true, but I don't know, you sacrifice a lot. And every time I drive to a city, well, because I drive past Manhattan occasionally, and I often get a headache just driving past Manhattan. So,
do you sit at red lights during the day?
in the city, you mean?
I mean, during the day where you are now, do you
Yeah,
sit at red lights?
occasionally, but.
See, I still consider that in the city.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the suburbs, maybe like 45 minutes north of Manhattan. But
How many red lights do you have to sit at to drive around town?
It's a good amount. I mean, a couple. But yeah, it's a good point though. Another thing I remember reading, which is an interesting point, is that every time you see a traffic jam, that's a government line. Right?
I know, people just drive on the sidewalks or the dirt road on the side or whatever's there and just go around it, sitting in these lines. Seriously, your livestock leave.
Yeah, like I like to imagine, like how would if the roads were truly privatized, I really think traffic would be a thing of the past. I mean, we probably have flying cars by now or teleportation down pat, but we would have no traffic. Go ahead.
We do have flying cars. We have ultralights. We have the PAL V, and there's like many more.
Yeah, I did see. Actually, you're right. I did see one of like prototypes of like flying cars or something.
And the only way that we're going to be flying cars around in the future is if we stop being slaves and stop asking permission.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that I like to tell business owners, like for example, what Airbnb, what Uber did, what Lyft did, all these companies, they didn't ask permission, right? They just started. Like they didn't ask, is there regulations that we have to comply with? Do we have to pay certain taxes? They just started their business, right? No permission, and then it was up to the regulatory agencies and the states. They're like, wait a minute, hold on. These people are conducting businesses and they're not being taxed. What are we going to do about this? So
there's an Uber alternative called Arcade. Oh, I can't remember the second. It's 2 words and it's Arcade something. So look it up. The Daily Decrypt did a video about it.
Cool.
She interviewed the guy. It's completely free and they take cryptocurrencies. I mean, you don't have to pay to whatever, sign up or anything like that.
Right.
And they're going to offer different services as well.
Yeah, I'm really getting into Bitcoin more and more. I just got into watchmybit.com. You heard of that website?
Yes.
Yeah. I was talking to Doug Scribner a couple of days ago, and he was helping me upload my first video onto there, and I saw a video about how it's so much better than something like Netflix or Hulu, right? Because it's like truly international, right? Bitcoin recognizes no boundaries or borders, and just anybody can get on there and pay per view, and people already pay for services like that. So why not use something awesome like cryptocurrency?
I wish Watch My Bit would let me put a free video up so that I don't have to advertise just on YouTube. I can actually advertise, I send people there to watch that free video, but it's an only paid watching site. Right.
Yeah. It's just, pay. Well, I mean, you can put an excerpt, a snippet, like a 1 minute or something like that.
That's free?
Yeah, that people can watch like a 1 minute, you put your video and then they can watch a 1 minute snippet for free. And then if they want to pay for it, they watch the whole thing. But yeah,
that might be a new feature then. And that's definitely, that gives you more incentive, to watch the video for sure.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Like my wife was asking me, who's going to go on there and pay to watch these videos? I'm like, well, you're already paying Netflix, right? You're already paying these services. So
and Patreon, you're paying you're pledging to your content creators on Patreon. That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah.
I mean, but Patreon, I can go and post blogs on there and send people directly to Patreon, and they can watch the video from Patreon, and they don't have to pay anything. So I'm like sharing this platform for free with people whenever I share the link, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just want to be able to offer free things and, you know, not free things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Patreon did. And there definitely needs to be a cryptocurrency platform like Patreon and Periscope.
So what is Periscope? I never heard of that one. Is that I don't think that's new, right?
So you can sit there and do your show or talk to people, and you can't hear them, but they can hear you, and they type in the chat box, and then you basically choose to respond to whatever you're seeing in the chat box.
Ah. Okay. So it's for like YouTubers and podcasters and things like that?
And kids.
And kids.
Lots of kids.
Okay.
Lots of kids. I've seen like a 9-year-old in there doing makeup. She knew exactly what she was doing. It was Periscope. Her mom walks in and she shuts it off. And I'm like, oh my God. Her mom gave her a smartphone, and then she knows about Periscope, so she goes, downloads the app, and then signs in, logs in. Like, she figures it out. She's 9. What the heck?
Yeah,
At least she wasn't doing anything inappropriate. Because there's creeps on there, like total creeps. I see people blocking people all of the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, one other reason I have a lot of hope and positivity for the future is because of technology. Like, I think even though kids are in public school and they're being taught lies and nationalism and statism and all that kind of stuff, you can't censor the internet, right? They all have access to the internet. They have access to all these, like you said, Periscope and Instagram and Snapchat and all that. And so there is a relentless spread of information all the time, right? And so I think it's inevitable that given that free flow of information, that the kids are going to realize that what they're learning is garbage. So,
like, even right now, we should both have a Bitcoin QR code right here, so that whenever anyone is watching this video in the future, they can scan our QR code and donate Bitcoin to us. And I'll go on Periscope and tell people that, because they'll title their Periscope Ask Me Anything. So I'll go on there and I'll do Bitcoin promotion and talk, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin? And then some of them, have, and then some people were like, that's a scam. And I'm like, you obviously don't know what you're talking about. You should read a little bit more, just like maybe one more webpage. Come on, bring it, one more.
Yeah. It's been a while since I explained Bitcoin to somebody who had no idea about it. But I like the conversation because, yeah, like you said, most people don't know, or what they know is what they've heard on the news, which is oftentimes like, trying to vilify it, right? Like, oh, that's something that drug dealers use, and what else? They talk about Mount Gox, failing, and everybody lost all their Bitcoins, and or something was hacked or something, and I'm like, all right, so that's something that you heard from a news source. So you're saying you're assuming that's true for everything about Bitcoin by one or a couple of news stories.
And then there's the lazy people who don't work hard enough to even secure their own Bitcoin, and they complain about it. And I go, well, if you would have not put all your eggs in one basket, you would have access to this information or whatever it is that you don't have anymore. So there's that too, the battling. I call it baby boomerism. It's like the defeatist attitude of not wanting to take that one extra step, like not wanting to learn that one thing more, and just giving up and saying, I don't get it, I'm confused, and it doesn't work, and I can't stand it. I call it baby boomerism.
Yeah, recently I had blockchain.info, a wallet there, and then I got off that because that's not recommended, right? Because that's like it's like a bank or something. They hold your Bitcoin there, right? And then it's like, I forget what they call it. Yeah, I guess like a bank. But so I got Airbitz.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. An online wallet versus a wallet on your cell phone. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Airbitz, I assume.
But do you know if you have the private key in your Airbitz?
Private key? No, I don't know. Why?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't checked ours either. That was somebody asked me that the other day, if you have access to your private key, or does Airbitz hold access to the private key? It's probably something both of us should check out.
Uh-huh.
Because, yeah.
I mean, I told...
And
Go ahead,
even just having paper wallets printed out with Bitcoin on them and laminating them and sticking them in safes or burying them or whatever you got to do, like, and the other cryptocurrencies as well, like Dash. I'm really excited about Dash.
Dash, never heard of that.
Well, it's they have their own network, and they also have like a decentralized government type of thing going on where you can write a proposal and the Dash network will vote to fund you. And the Daily Decrypt got like a week of her episodes funded by writing a proposal on the Dash network. And when I first opened my Dash client on my computer and got a wallet, I just went on to Twitter and I said, "Hello, people, I just opened my Dash wallet. Does anybody want to tip me any Dash for my first Dash?" And that's how I got my first Dash. I've never bought any cryptocurrency. I've always either earned it or got a tip or a donation or something like that.
Ah, cool. Yeah, it's awesome. And Bitcoin is just one of like thousands of cryptocurrencies. That's the other thing. It's like, people say, well, maybe Bitcoin is not the future. How do you anarchists know what the future is going to be? Why do you put all your faith in Bitcoin? I'm like, no, I don't put my faith in Bitcoin. I don't put my faith in gold and silver. I put my faith in whatever the market decides, right? So
I just keep mentioning the dollar. Like, really, come on, do you like that dollar so much? It's like awesome. It's like it's so valuable. Come on, people.
Yeah.
Silver is better to trade at this point. Your bullion or your dimes, or make silver dime cards, and then now they have numismatic value because the art is so freaking cool. So it's worth $5 instead of $1.60 or whatever. Yeah,
and then there's some people who think that inflation is just like an act of nature. Like, we have inflation. 2%. The Fed's like, our goal is 2% inflation. Everyone's like, oh wow, that's wonderful goal. So, like, translation, our goal is to rob you 2% per year. Yes, yay!
Seriously, like we were talking about recently, how this is literally a prison planet. Literally, like you're in a FEMA camp. There's a camera on every street corner. You have livestock tags on your car. And, the government has access to your bank account if you have a bank account, so they can pretty much do anything they want there, and so can the bank. Oh, God, it just creeps me out just thinking about, like, how little lack of control people actually have over their lives, and it's sickening.
Yeah, I can see how easily it is, and I think I went through that stage as well when I was learning about, voluntarism and capitalism and government. You spiral down to the depths of depression and despair and gloom. Like, there's no hope for us. I just have to buy as much gold and silver as I can, get toilet paper, get a lot of water, and just sit in my corner and wait for it to happen. No. Then after a while you realize, wait a minute, that's not a fruitful life. and
you're all like hiding in your corner.
And how is that, clutching your toilet paper? And how is that going to attract people to our philosophy, right? Because the way I look at it, like I like the way Adam Kokesh describes it, is like, you want to make your philosophy seem attractive, right? You want to make it or tell people that this philosophy makes you happy and content, right? And more loving, more gentle, more kind person. I think that's what something, philosophy is supposed to do, make you a better person, right? If it makes you a worse person, it's not such a good philosophy.
Yeah, I know. I've been talked to about my anger issues, and friends have called me out on it. So it's definitely come to the forefront, and I now think about it almost daily still. Since it's good to call out your friends, it's hold people accountable. It's what makes us a better people.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's not always fun. It's not always easy, and sometimes you want to get on the defense and get angrier. But I don't know. We only live one time, and it's really short, so we should not be angry or worry too much about anything.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's people who say, how do you know it's ever going to happen? How do you know anarchy is ever going to happen or voluntarism? Everybody's not going to accept your philosophy, right? So why do you even trying? Okay, it's fruitless. It's a waste of time. It's a utopian vision. and go ahead.
Sorry, like at that point, I just explain to people that like everyone exists in their own reality.
Yeah.
So like in my reality, I exist in an anarchy reality, and if you exist in a livestock controlled reality, then yeah, there's no anarchy there.
Yeah, yeah. And the way I look at it is that I live this life, or I have these principles, not because it's popular, but because it's moral and it's virtuous and it's just, and that's it. Regardless if everybody decided to rob from each other and murder each other, that still wouldn't make robbery and murder a moral thing, right? It's not about how many people are doing it, right? It's about understanding universal morality, right? And that's what I think my message has become, is that even if in my lifetime I don't get to see what a truly voluntary society would look like, maybe it's like we're planting seeds for the next generation or the generation after that that's going to feel the shade from those trees, right? And that's my goal, right? It's not even just about us, because the same thing with the abolitionists in the 19th century, right? A lot of them probably didn't see the abolition of chain slavery either, but that doesn't mean it's a fruitless endeavor, right? If you see injustice in the world, then you speak out about it and you shine light on it, right? And hopefully, eventually, if people will do that, it will wither away and die.
Agreed. There's a lot of shady trees at Jackalope.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds like a wonderful place.
Somebody planted them a long ass time ago, and it's the story. If you go online and look up the Baca family, that's Baca Meadows is where Jackalope is, and the Baca family used to live there, and they have a very large property there, and you can see it on the county website as well. And there's like a place where they're buried. But anyway, the Baca family, that used to be the main trail that travelers would go on when they're, I guess, going from Payson to Heber Overgaard or Sholo or something. And the Baca family would house and feed those people while they were traveling down that trail. And so I kind of view, Jackalope like that too, because when people come there, some of the vendors will cook food and you can just give a donation. So there's no like set price on what you're paying or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure the Baca family took donations as well. Some people do set suggested donation prices for items, but some people don't. And so I definitely feel like, the Baca family supports what we're doing there in their past next whatever life.
Yeah. So
there actually is some members that still they were there last year, and Ernie went and talked to them. So
awesome.
There are some surviving members.
Cool. So I'm sure the audience wants to know how many pages of registration and how many forms of ID do you require for people to come to Jackalope?
0.
I'm sorry, I couldn't finish that without laughing.
We have a deregistration table, so you can look for that when you get there. And there's a form, you can fill it out if you want. But I suggest reading the whole thing first.
Yeah. So yeah, an undocumented, unregistered festival. I like the idea.
Yeah, a non-event.
Non-event. And you're not the owner, right? You're not the founder. You're not the owner.
Definitely not in charge of anybody. Special agent not in charge.
Excellent.
But I have a good mentor. Ernie's been really supportive of our non-event. And
Cool.
When I was contacted by the government back in year 2, or before year 2, he contacted them back and for me, and basically told them that there was nothing they were going to get from any of the people that attend there. And
Nice.
The Forest Service came and they were really nice, and I wish I had documentation of that, a video of that. It would be really good for history, but I don't. But we've been left alone ever since. So like if somebody did come, even if it was some kind of like inspector or food or whatever, they'd be treated just like those guys at Pork Fest were last year.
Right.
So there'd be cameras, and everyone there is armed, and You don't mess with, you just don't mess with a group of armed people. It's not a good idea, especially if they're not, living by or abiding by the non-aggression principle.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's kind of the way that laws are effectively nullified, right? It's not through petitioning to your congressman. It's not through protesting or making waves. Going and standing out in front of the Capitol building. No, you make them unenforceable, right? You make it afraid for the government agents to enforce the law, right? Afraid for their lives, right? Like I remember Larkin Rose is saying a great way to a great experiment that should be done is a couple of kids should go out and have their lemonade stand, and a couple of anarchists with nice armed weapons there should stand right next to them, and if any agents of the state come and try to harass them, let's see what happens.
Yeah, the lemonade stand, the Liberate Lemonade or whatever, they should have been armed. I wonder if the cops would have screwed us on that, if they would have got arrested that day. I don't know.
Yeah. Just to point out the complete lunacy, of legislation. So yeah, I think that's a wonderful way. And that's exactly how alcohol prohibition got overturned, is by making it unenforceable, right? When nobody obeys the law, then really there is no man-made law, arbitrary, by the barrel of a gun law, right? So, but
alcohol was like a trick, though, I think, because they're like, we're gonna, you're not allowed to have this, and now you're allowed to have this, and it was more like a funnel to funnel people there, probably.
Yeah, it could have been that. And also I like to tell people is that I think it was like 1933, 32, 33, when alcohol was just, the prohibition was just lifted, and then gold became banned. And so the year before, if you had a beer and a gold coin, you would be a criminal because of the beer. But in the next year, if you had the same two things, you're a criminal because of the gold coin. Oh my God. So yeah.
Yeah, that and guns, those laws and guns they're never gonna stop people. And no laws stop people from doing things they want to do. Laws don't stop people from doing things they want to do, ever.
Yeah, and I think if people had that mindset more and more in Nazi Germany and Stalin Russia and Mao's China, then less people would have been murdered, right? Imagine if those people were armed, if those Jews were armed in Nazi Germany, how many of them would have been escorted away, right? So the more you are, the less that you obey authority, the less that you obey those, claiming to have a superior claim on your life, the more likely you are following your morality, and the more likely you are, preserving your life. So,
I agree.
Too often, people can go ahead.
Maybe being a little more sane too, having less cognitive dissonance.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you have your child there to attend to. So please, can you let the people know again? Just plug your websites and how they can reach you if they want to find your work.
Okay. Well, if you have any information that you want to add to Undocumented Human, like if you have an experience or story or anything like that, I'm totally willing to collaborate and share information like that on there if anyone sends me anything. And all of the contacts, you can reach me through any of the websites. And also, so Jackalope Freedom Festival is August 1st through 8th, and it's in northern Arizona in the Pines. So if you do have to fly or drive to the valley, it's not in the valley. It's up north where it's cool. It's not hot. It's after monsoon season, so usually the fire restrictions have been lifted, and we do get donations for porta potties so that it's not a nasty whatever fest. And
nice.
And then Agris Marketplace is a website where if you accept alternative currencies like Bitcoin, silver, gold, whatever barter trade, it's free to get connected with other Agris on there. And I'm going to be adding a forum as well so that people can just communicate amongst themselves, which I should have done, 8 years ago. Would have been nice for people to be able to, well, wait, I have a group on Facebook, which I suppose is similar to a forum, but it doesn't really track topics like forums do, you know, and you can put files in groups, but then you have to go to the files section to find those files. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, and then what was the other one? What was my other one? I edit and write for the homestead.guru, and one of my articles about turmeric just went over 300,000 views.
Nice. Awesome.
So it's like going viral and continuing to go viral. And my friends are telling me about it, going, hey, do you know about this? And they're showing me their bottles of their pills. And I go, yeah, I know about that. I wrote an article about that. You might have read it because, you know, people, the networks, our Liberty networks are not that, they're large, but they're still a niche.
The homestead.guru, I work with Kat and John, the Blush family. They also just launched their Patreon. They live in Austin, or just outside of Austin, and they own Brave New Books. So if you're in Texas, definitely go check them out. Same thing with Derek Bros. He's doing like a bunch of stuff in Houston, and he's looking for land and all kinds of things. There's all kinds of stuff going on everywhere. I guess that's pretty much it. I think I've given you all of the websites. I'm working on a Trail of Anarchy, which is going to be a new website that will offer public events and then private events for a membership fee. The public events, any kind of Liberty event that's public, and anyone that has like a trail of public events can go and post their trail on there. Basically, like if Derek Bros or somebody or anyone, whatever's traveling from one event to another and they're driving, they can go and put their trail on there, and other people can meet up with them, market with them. If they're staying in a camp area or an RV area that's near a conference that doesn't offer something like that for agorists because it's in a hotel or whatever, then that information will be listed on there too, so that other people can cohabitate off of, you know, hotel premises while an event is going on. And then the events that are free to camp, vent, and attend will be like promoted extra special. So I really want to encourage other people to do what I did and not be in charge of an event.
Yes. Be the co-creator of the event, maybe.
Yeah, definitely collaborate with other people.
Nice.
So, and this show will be fun. There's always a jackalope hunt for the kids. So whoever wins gets a real rabbit, and you can either eat it or keep it as a pet.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So one other thing I'd like to ask my guests before we go is, what is your favorite quote of all time?
Fear is the mind killer.
Cool. All right. Awesome. I like it. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear is the foundation of statism. Fear is a paralyzing, a crippling emotion that we should steer very clear of. So when you're not fearful, when you're happy, then I think politicians cannot have control of your life. The mind. You can. I think it was Gandhi that said, you can like chain me up, you can beat me, you can whip me, you can put me on the rack. But you can never enslave my mind. So something like that. Might be paraphrasing, but I love it.
Seriously, I mean, like, you can try and chain it up or put me in a cage, but you will never know, like, what's in here.
Yeah.
Even I don't know what's in here yet.
we're all still trying to figure that out, right?
I'm still learning.
I know. Yeah, that's a good point. We are all still learning, definitely. And that's why force and coercion is very, very rarely justified. I guess except in self-defense, but because we don't know what's best for other people, right? We barely know what's best for ourselves. How can we possibly know what's best for other people, right? It's an impossibility. It's a fool's effort. But
if anyone watching this is in Arizona, I do have a Facebook page and group called Unschooling Arizona, and there's other families in there that unschool or homeschool, and they post all kinds of different events that go on in the valley. And So if you're looking to get connected with other people, there's probably over 100 people or so in that group now.
Oh, that's so important. That's so important for especially, homeschoolers and unschoolers to get connected with other people, because you do not want to do that alone. I mean, you can, I guess, but it's just so much better with other people, and the kids grow up with other people, all different ages, and just do various activities, and it's just a lot of fun, So I definitely encourage that. Anywhere people do that. So awesome conversation, Alma. Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. No problem. So if anybody wants to help me out, you can do so through Bitcoin, PayPal, or Patreon. Links are below. Patreon.com/peaceful-anarchism to help me out. $1 a show is all I ask. If you find value in this content, please feel free to donate. Value for value, right? That's what free market capitalism is all about. If you see something that you want to see more of in the world, you patronize it, right? You support it. Voting with your dollars, the only democracy I support. Also, you can help support me through the Amazon affiliate program. I have Amazon links on my website. You can check those out, and you purchase products through those. I will get a commission at no extra cost to you. So please feel free to use those if you like my content and you want to see me introduce or interview more fascinating people like Alma here. Please help me out. So awesome conversation, Alma. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
So this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network and theseedsofliberty.com and theconsciousresistance.com. Wishing everyone have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.